run into the problem that the Iranians themselves might not agree to end the war. The United States can quit, but the Israelis and the Iranians may continue fighting. And again, as I said, the Iranians have a lot of cards to play here. They can do a lot of damage. So even if we walk away, it's not clear that that solves the problem. And then again, where I started, the United States will look like it suffered a humiliating defeat.
Yeah, they're going to get defeated. They're going to get clapped. I don't know what else to tell you guys. Earlier on, we talked about the casualties from Israel in this conflict. Again, there's over 20 Israelis that have been unalived. There have been 4,000 injured if you are listening to the official reports from the Zionist entity. Personally, I believe that they are seriously underreporting those numbers. But I do want to share this with you. This is what has gone on in Iran since the start of Operation Epstein's Fury. 2 pregnant Iranian women have been killed. Over 18,000 Iranian civilians have been injured. More than 3,200 Iranian women have been injured. 204 Iranian children have been killed. 53 of them were under 5 years old. There have been two infants. One was 5 months old, which was killed. Over 70,000 civilian sites were damaged, including homes, shops, schools, 251 medical centers, 498 schools, and 17 Red Crescent centers. Okay, so this is they're trying to Gazify Iran. This is exactly what we've said. And despite that, despite the propaganda efforts, despite the attacks, the Gazification, attempted Gazification of Iran, none of this is working. Iran's military is strong. Their government is intact. Their supreme leader is still fighting, still issuing very strong statements, refusing to negotiate. The foreign ministry refusing to negotiate. The IRGC still controls the Strait of Hormuz, so on and so forth. But even the smaller scale propaganda psyop attacks that the U.S. is trying to wage are failing as well. This is a very odd story. There was an Iranian women's football team, soccer team, if you will, which was in Australia, and they were made a very strange offer in the middle of the night at 2 a.m. By the Australian Prime Minister, Albanese. Albanese made a strange offer for the Iranian women's soccer team to defect from Iran. The offer was made after a 2 a.m. phone call between President Donald Trump and the Prime Minister of Australia, Albanese. This one member of the team from Iran said, we were made strange offers, but we are in love with our homeland. Wherever we go, we miss Iran. Another one of the football team players, she said, I wouldn't trade a strand of my mother. I wouldn't trade a strand of my hair of my mother and father for the entire continent of America. So, needless to say, regardless of how much they bomb Iran, regardless of how many psyops they try to induce upon the Iranian people, oh, hey, Iranian women's soccer team, we'll take you to go buy some Prada bags, if you defect from your country, right? It is all failing so poetically. I mean, just think about the Strait of Hormuz. After years and years and years of these crippling sanctions against Iran, what is now happening? The U.S. is the one who's being crippled via gas prices, via oil prices, and it's going to be everything else because literally everything needs oil and gas to be made. Fertilizer prices will go next. That means food prices will go next. You name it. Everything is going to be impacted by this. You have Europe, which is also being economically strangled as a result of this. And the icing on the cake in terms of the, this all coming full circle, despite the fact that Iran has been sanctioned for decades into oblivion, what has now happened? Yesterday, we saw a stealth fighter jet, a 5th generation US F-35 fighter jet that has never been shot in the sky in a combat operation. It was shot not by a Russian air defense system in Iran, not by a Chinese air defense system in Iran, not by a Belarusian air defense system in Iran. It was shot in a combat operation in the sky over Iran by a domestically produced Iranian air defense system that was made in Iran under these crippling sanctions. The things that these people in Iran are able to achieve is absolutely mind-boggling, okay? Against all odds, they're still absolutely destroying every single facet of power that the U.S. tries to impose upon them. That's why John Mearsheimer had this to say on Piers Morgan.
I mean, I think what's going on here, Piers, is that the United States and Israel thought that we could win a quick and decisive victory, either by decapitating the regime or some form of shock and awe campaign for the first few days of the war. And the Iranians would then throw up their hands and they would submit to our demands. And in fact, President Trump has said that he was told that there was a good chance that the Iranians would close down the Strait of Hormuz, but he ignored that warning because he thought we would win a victory before that became a viable option for the Iranians. But what's happened here is that we did not.
Keep in mind, remember how often they would try to poke fun at the Russians? They're like, you guys said 3 days in and out in Ukraine and the war would be over. No one in Russia ever said that. No Russian military personnel said that. No Russian government person ever said that. You can literally fact check me on this. The only person that said that was U.S. General Mark Milley. He was the only person that said that the Russians claim that they're going to be in and out in 3 days. He made it up. He pulled it out of his ass. It was, however, the U.S. who said that this is going to be done in a few days after we take out Khamenei, and then there will be regime change. The people will rise up. It was the U.S. who did say that. And now look at where we are.
Achieve a quick and decisive victory. And we're now in a long war, a war of attrition. And that's a war that the Iranians prepared for. And that's a war that the Iranians are in an excellent position to prevail in. If you think about the various steps up the escalation ladder that we can take, what you see is that the Iranians can match us at every point. And they can cause not only enormous damage for the countries in the region and for the United States military forces that are located there, but maybe even more importantly for the international economy. They have the ability, as you go up the escalation ladder, to tank the international economy. This would be catastrophic. So we are now in a situation, having failed to achieve a quick and decisive victory, where we could lose in a really serious way.
So if you were advising Donald Trump, which is, I have to say, at the unlikely end of the expectation ladder, but if you were, what advice would you give him? He clearly, I think, wants to get out of this, but he doesn't seem to really.
That's such a stupid psyop that Trump wants to get out of this. Okay, Piers, if you're really that retarded and you think Trump wants to get out of this, why is he sending a Marine Expeditionary Unit of 2,500 Marines to the region? Why is he sending Pete Hegseth to go to Congress, ask for $200 billion in funding for this war? Why would they be doing any of that? Why are we talking now about sending an additional, we've approved an additional 5,000 troops for amphibious landing operations? Why are we doing precision strike campaigns on the Iranian coastline under the impression that this will make it somehow easier for the U.S. forces to invade and do an amphibious landing? There's no way he's that stupid. It's such a psyop. Oh, Trump really doesn't want this. Bro, you can't say that anymore. You guys, I'm losing my mind, but in the weeks and months leading up to this war, you all remember I was out here every single day and I was relentlessly making fun of the people who kept saying that Trump doesn't actually want this. He's being forced. Trump doesn't want this. He's being forced. Well, Trump did it. Trump did it. He could have literally done anything but do this, and I would have maybe believed you. I would have believed you. But he did it. And now there are people so fucking stupid, like Piers Morgan, who, as the war is going, as we're deploying troops for an amphibious landing, as we're asking for more money than we gave Ukraine over the span of years, he's still saying Trump doesn't actually want this war. There's no way anyone is that stupid.
Know how he can do that, which doesn't look like a crushing defeat or retreat. What would you advise him to do, which would be a skillful and achievable way of extricating America from this war?
I've thought long and hard about this, and I've talked to a number of very smart people, a number of my friends who are what I would call spinmeisters. They can figure out almost always how to get out of a mess. And I don't think anybody can come up with a good solution for solving this problem. What most people say is that what President Trump should do is declare victory and get out. I mean, he can do that, but it will be seen as a humiliating defeat for the United States. And furthermore, you run into the problem that the Iranians themselves might not agree to end the war. The United States can quit, but the Israelis and the Iranians may continue fighting. And again, as I said, the Iranians have a lot of cards to play here. They can do a lot of damage. So even if we walk away, it's not clear that that solves the problem. And then again, where I started, the United States will look like it suffered a humiliating defeat.
Yeah, they're going to get defeated. They're going to get clapped. I don't know what else to tell you guys. It's just as simple as that. I honestly cannot listen to Piers Morgan anymore. Before you leave, I want to say thank you for the support, because after 2 years of being banned, we are finally back home on YouTube. So be sure to subscribe to our channel and also join as a member on our channel using the link at the top of the description. I rely on the generous support of viewers like yourself to get the truth out to as many people as possible. You can also support the show on Locals or Give Sin Go. The mainstream media and the powers that be are never going to stop attacking us for bringing the truth to as many people as we do. Thank you so much for your support.